Hi everybody, Jake here. Hope everyone's doing well today. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about some Cleveland Browns off-season stuff. I've been really hesitant to jump into the Browns on this channel just to end the season because whenever I kind of got back into this, the Browns season was already kind of lost and we were at the end. It's like if I jump into videos now, it just feels kind of like what's the point? Why don't we just start in the off-season? So I figured I would wait until we get a little more draft news, a little more draft stuff, and then I look into it, look at some film, look at some things I like, some prospects I like, and then I can come to you guys with some good off-season stuff. We're not just going to talk about draft stuff for the off-season, free agency stuff, reactions, all that good stuff. So we'll talk about all that. But today what I wanted to talk about was my Cleveland Browns 2025 NFL Draft big board. This isn't so much a mock draft as it is just a big board at this point. This is just, we got a ways until the draft. This is just an early look into some prospects that I really like for the Cleveland Browns in places that I think they can get them. They have the second pick, the 33rd pick, 67th and 93rd pick. So you have some picks you can use here. These are some guys in these rounds and around these picks that I think the Browns can get to and guys that I really like. So let's go ahead and jump into this video. In round one, the first guy that I like, and he's my dream pick for the Browns, is Abdul Carter. Now it's a little complicated because ideally for me, I would like if the Browns could trade this pick back. I know there's been talk about the Browns needing to take a quarterback. They need to take a quarterback. And that is one of the biggest needs of the Browns. You're not going to get anywhere without a quarterback, yeah. But I don't believe that this draft is the draft to go balls to the wall and go get a quarterback of Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. They're not, and maybe this is too critical, but it's just honest. I don't think these prospects are talented enough to warrant the number one, number two pick. I certainly don't think the Browns should use it and jump into something here. So my ideal pick is Abdul Carter. I've loved Abdul Carter. I've watched him all year. He's the Penn State edge rusher. He's incredible. He's been a great player all year. He is just one of those guys. He's nasty. He could be a generational talent. I really, really love Abdul Carter. Why I love it so much for the Browns is because this answers the questions of who can you pair with Miles on the other side. It feels like since we've had Miles, there's always the question of who is going to be the edge rusher opposite of him. And it feels like the Browns have always had this patchwork opposite edge rusher to Miles, and I think Abdul Carter answers that question and he resolves that issue that the Browns have had for years and years and years. So the next guy, if you can't get Abdul Carter in this spot, and this is why I say that if the Browns need, the ideal thing for the Browns for me is to trade back here. If the Browns could trade with the Giants to 3, Patriots for 4, Raiders for even 6, and get additional assets for the second round, and I'll get into that. That's the ideal thing. So if Abdul Carter isn't the guy, the next guy I like is Mason Graham from the team up north. He's a defensive tackle. He kind of is the full package in a defensive tackle. He has great pass rush, run stuff. He has the great body for a defensive tackle. I really like him in this draft. But the reason he's my number 2 to Abdul Carter is I just think there's good defensive tackles you can find at the later rounds in this draft. I don't know that Mason Graham is a great player, but I like Abdul Carter more. I don't know that he warrants the number 2 pick in this draft, or number 4, number 6, wherever they're at. So Mason Graham, I like him too. My next guy, Ashton Genty, running back out of Boise State. We know what it is with Ashton Genty. He went crazy this year for Boise State, runner-up for the Heisman. Great contact balance. He's a shorter guy, but he's stocky. He's quick, power, speed guy. He's kind of the full combo there. Reason he's my number 3 is he's a running back. This draft, probably the story for this 25 draft is the running back position. It's so deep this year, and I don't know, again, that the Browns need to put the number 2 pick into Ashton Genty. He's a great player, and this is why I say if the Browns go back and they end up with Mason Graham or Ashton Genty, I'm not mad about it at all. My next guy, 4th on this list, is Travis Hunter. He's the Colorado cornerback and wide receiver. How does that translate to the NFL? I'm not sure, but Travis Hunter is a superstar. He's fun. All the lights would be on him. It'd be a cool pick, but he's my number 4 pick just because you already have MJ Emerson. I assume if Travis Hunter goes to the NFL, he's likely going to be a corner in the NFL. I don't know that he's going to play both positions. It's going to be really tough. I could see them trying it at times, especially if he ends up on a bad team. I could see them trying this with him, this playing both sides of the ball. And I could see him playing both sides of the ball in the NFL, just not every series like he did in college with Colorado. So, but I'm hesitant with Travis Hunter though, just because you already have MJ Emerson, you have Denzel Ward, and then you have Greg Newsome. So where does you're drafting? You're drafting Travis Hunter to be a number one, your number one defensive back, and we already have Denzel Ward. Now, would that be cool to pair Denzel with Travis Hunter? Yeah, but then MJ Emerson's the odd man out, and does that mean you're done with MJ? What's the deal with it? And then if you draft him, you're likely going to have to trade Greg Newsome anyway, or let him walk in free agency, which the Browns are likely to do anyway, I feel. But I think it just creates some weird stuff in the cornerback room, unless you want him to be a receiver. But I think he's a great corner, so you probably put him at corner if he goes to the NFL. So that's my first round for of these guys. Pick 2. That's my ideal guy is Abdul Carter in this round. So we'll go ahead and jump to the next round here. Round 2, that's pick 33 for the Browns. And now this is why I say my ideal scenario is the Browns get additional assets to trade and get picks in the second round and the third round, because I love a lot of the prospects that are in the second and third round for the Browns. My dream pick, this is selfish of me because I have a friend that goes to Bowling Green. So he's watched Harold Fannon up close, but Harold Fannon is my pick. Tight end out of Bowling Green. He's awesome. He's a playmaker. He would be, if he's there at 33, I'd take him, and I wouldn't think twice about it. I love Harold Fannon, 6'4", 240. He had 117 receptions and 1,500 yards for Bowling Green this year. 10 touchdowns. He's just awesome. He has that wiggle, and I don't know another word to describe it. He just has wiggle as a tight end. He's very fun to watch. He's a sure catcher of the football, playmaker, and he's played well against good competition. I know because he's played against Bowling Green, or he's played for Bowling Green, this year, that the question would be, well, he hasn't played very good competition. Well, games against Texas A&M and Penn State, he played well in both of those games. Granted, he's probably the number one target. He's your key to winning in those games. They didn't win those games, but he did play well in both of those games. So those are 2 great schools that he did play well against. The only questions with Harold Fannon is blocking and pass downs. It could be a possible issue with him. Granted, if he's on the field, he's going to be a pass catcher similar to David Njoku. And also why I feel, and I might be going all over the place in this video, I'm just excited about these guys. Why I think it would be nice for the Browns to take a tight end so high is because with Kevin Stefanski going back to these 2 tight end sets, he's going to be taking over play calling again with the departure of Ken Dorsey and everything, and with all the Deshaun Watson stuff. We're going to get back to what makes the Browns great, and that's heavy zone runs, 2 tight ends, heavy personnel, which I'm excited for the Browns. So it would be a good idea for the Browns to take a tight end in this draft, because you do have good tight ends, not even just in the second round here. But Harold Fannon would be my dream pick. He's just a playmaker. It'd be awesome. Pair him with David Njoku. That's an electric tight end group there. So I love Harold Fannon here. My next pick, and this goes to what I was saying about Mason Graham earlier, Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle from the Buckeyes. We watched him up close and personal all year, 6'3", 327. I believe he brings great size to the defensive tackle room. Now, he doesn't have what Mason Graham has. He doesn't have the full package, the pass rush like Mason Graham does. What does Tyleik Williams bring to the table? He is a great body. He occupies space. He's a good run defender. He has upside to be a good pass rusher, but right now he's a good run stuffer. You can pair him in this defensive tackle room. You probably need a defensive tackle here. You got Dalvin Tomlinson in there, and then with Shelby Harris, what's the future look like with the veterans that you've had in the defensive tackle room? And you do have guys like Mike Hall in there. Go Bucks! And you can pair Tyleik Williams with Mike Hall and Dalvin Tomlinson and create a really good defensive tackle room with upside that he could become a pass rusher, a good pass rusher. He's already a serviceable pass rusher, but a good pass rusher in the long term. So Tyleik Williams would be my number 2 there. If he's there, Harold Fannon's not there, I would take him. I wouldn't think too much about it. 2 more defensive tackles. I would consider taking in this spot. I guess I feel less good about them now than I did when I initially watched the film on them because I'm excited about two other guys. Is Kenneth Grant for the team up north and Walter Nolan, Ole Miss defensive tackle. They kind of bring two separate things to me. Kenneth Grant, he's an enormous body, run stuffer, pure run stuffer. He doesn't have the pass rush that even like Tyleik Williams does in this case, and certainly not that Mason Graham does, but he's played it alongside Mason Graham. He's a pure run stuffer. He's fun to watch. I will tell you, for such a big body, he actually moves pretty fast. He is impressive to watch his film because he is a very good mover for somebody that's that big. But he's a pure run stuffer. I do like him if you can see him in the second round. I almost prefer him later second round, third round. And then Walter Nolan, defensive tackle for Ole Miss. If he was there, consider taking him, and these guys aren't. He brings a lot more pass rush upside than even like Tyleik Williams does. He was a former number 1 overall prospect. Pretty good player, but again, he's not my first pick of the defensive tackle room, but I do like him in this draft. Two guys that I'm most excited about, and this is why I say that I would like if the Browns could get additional assets for this second and third round area, because I really think this is an important spot for the Browns, and it's to address the left tackle situation that they're in right now. They need a left tackle. They have Jermaine Ifedi starting over there. DeJuan Jones, what's the future look like with him? Can he stay healthy? I think the Browns need to address some offensive line, and even guys like Joel Bitonio, they're getting older. Wyatt Teller getting older. What does the future look like? We need to start overhauling some of this offensive line and bringing new blood in here. First guy I like here is Jonas Savaiinaea, Arizona left tackle, 6'5", 336. He's a good run blocker. He can work on pass pro, not as great in pass pro, but he's a good run blocker. I think for what the Browns are trying to do this year, this could be a good patch up to the left tackle situation. He's also taken snaps at right tackle and right guard, and you'll see with some more prospects here that you'll see this is a trend with me. I just love an offensive lineman that can move all over. He has experience at right tackle, left tackle, and right guard. He's great in run blocking. For what the Browns are going to do this year, going back to these heavy sets and this running of the football, I think it would be a really good idea to get a run blocking first left tackle in here. This will be the quarterback's blind side if you got a righty in there, and you typically do. But I think Jonas Savaiinaea in this play in this spot would be a really good value pick, because you can start working on this tackle situation, and say it doesn't work at left tackle for him, and say it just doesn't translate to the NFL, you can move him to guard if you need to. If arms aren't long enough, if it's not working at left tackle, you can always move him into guard, and he has experience in other spots. So if you need to put him at right guard, right tackle, left guard, whatever it is, you can move him around. Next prospect, Ariante Ursary, 6'6", 331, Minnesota left tackle. He's a pure left tackle. He's better in run game, similar to Savaiinaea, but he has a little bit better floor when it comes to pass pro right now. I think Ursary is probably the safer pick out of these two, just because he's shown a little more in the pass game here. And if you want a more sure left tackle to throw in that spot, Ursary is the pick. He's a Big Ten guy. I like Ursary in this spot. If you can find one of these two there, I think it would be a really good idea to go ahead and take one of these guys in this spot. So let's go ahead and move on to round 3. This is probably the most exciting round for me and the most exciting group of prospects. Obviously, we're excited about round 1 because that has the best players there, best potential of these guys. But these guys are more you get a dig to look at the tape on these guys, and I got a group here that I'm really excited about. First guy, round 3, address the running back situation with Nick Chubb. Breaks his foot again coming in after that surgery and the knee injury that he had, and he kind of didn't look like Nick Chubb. How could you expect him to? My first guy is Nick Singleton here. Nicholas Singleton, running back, Penn State. This guy is the perfect mix of speed, strength, 6 foot, 227, rushed for 1,099 yards this year, and he had 3 touchdowns against Notre Dame. I think he's a full package running back. I think he could be a superstar at the next level. Like I said, he mixes just speed and strength together so well, and even has receiving upside. I love Nick Singleton in this draft. Um, I think he's going to translate great to the next level, and he just has a good frame for a running back. I think he fits what the Browns want to do pretty well. I think Nick Singleton at the next level, why it would work so well with him is just because you can pair him, say you want to continue with Nick Chubb and get Nick Chubb between 8 and 15 carries a game. You could split the backfield between Nick Singleton and Nick Chubb. Hey, they're both Nick. That's interesting. You could split the backfield between both of them. I think it would work great. I think Nick Singleton's a great player. He's my first guy off in round 3. Next guy, his teammate on the defensive side of the ball, Kevin Winston Jr., 6'2", 208. He's a safety out of Penn State. I think he's just a sure tackler. You can address some of the concerns that the Browns have in their secondary this year. I can't remember his name. He just retired this year. Forgive me. Bad job at me. Kevin Winston can fill the hole at safety that the Browns are going to have going into this season. I think he's just a sure pick. I think he's a safer pick in this draft. I think Kevin Winston kind of just brings the full package. He's a sure tackler. He's a heavy hitter. If you watch the tape on him, he hits so hard. He plays so downhill. I do love Kevin Winston in this spot. If he's there, I would definitely take him just to address that safety concern going forward for the Browns. Next guy here, Trayon Henderson. Go Bucks. Trayon Henderson. I almost look at Trayon Henderson now, and I feel like he's more of a round 4 guy, but he's in my round 3 right now just because of the upside that he has. Trayon Henderson is a complete open field terror, in the receiving game especially. I don't know that Trayon Henderson is going to be an every down back at the next level, but Trayon Henderson brings such explosiveness and such playmaking that I'm very intrigued with him, and I'm curious to see what he can do at the next level. Trayon Henderson took a dump-off screen 75 yards against Texas with 29 seconds left in the half. He's just an incredible playmaker. If you give him 5 yards of space left to right, Trayon Henderson can make something out of nothing. He's one of my favorite, most exciting. This is probably the homer in me talking a little bit too, just because I love the Buckeyes. But I'm so curious what Trayon Henderson could bring to the next level. Now, why I'm not as sure of him as I am a guy like Nick Singleton. I think Nick Singleton could be more of an every down back in the NFL. He's more durable. Trayon Henderson did have some injuries. He's had injuries every year, and he split the backfield with Quinshon Judkins. So there is concerns with Trayon Henderson. I'm not as sure of him as a prospect, but I think he will translate pretty well, at least in the receiving game. He could be a third down back at the next level. I think he's just a very fun pick. I think it would be a very fun backfield if you had a change of pace back like Trayon Henderson there. So Tory Horton's my next prospect here. 6'3", 185 out of Colorado State. I love his frame. He's a wide receiver. He mixes a lot of good size and speed. When I watch him, he just looks like a professional. He looks like he's ready to go on to the next level. He's a great catcher of the football. He's a sure catcher of the football. Only concern I guess I have for him at this point is he had that knee injury this year, so he only played in 5 games. So how does that affect his draft? That's why you can probably find him at round 4. If you can find him at round 4, I think it's a great value pick for the Browns here. I know Browns fans are going to sigh if the Browns were to take him just because another 3rd, 4th round pick, wide receiver that the Browns historically have not hit on in recent years. But I do like Tory Horton. I think you could pair him with Jerry Jeudy pretty well. Does he play in the slot? I think Jerry Jeudy's probably a little faster than him, so you probably keep Jerry Jeudy in the slot, and he's one of your more outside receivers. You could pair him with Cedric Tillman pretty well. I think it'd be a good core of receivers that you have there. I really like Tory Horton. I think he could be a good 50-50 ball guy too, which I feel like you don't really have that on the Browns right now. As much as we like Jerry Jeudy and as good as Jerry Jeudy has played this year, he's not a 50-50 ball guy. So I think Tory Horton brings that. He could be a number 1 at the next level. I would just be really curious to see what the Browns could do with him at the next level, pairing him with Jerry Jeudy. So that's why I like Tory Horton. Next prospect here. This is my favorite prospect in all the draft, a 4th round pick. 3rd or 4th round pick. GREAEL, left tackle out of North Dakota State University. He is my favorite player in this draft so far, and I'm not even sure. It's mostly just because of his experience, why I love him so much. North Dakota State FCS school, you can talk about competition, whatever, but he's an excellent run blocker. He's not as good in pass pro. That's a similar trend, like I've told you, even with like Ursary and Saveynaya. But he has taken snaps at left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, and right tackle. You could play Gray Zabel literally anywhere. If anything, he's a backup, and you can play him everywhere. The Browns have had injuries all over the offensive line for the last 2 seasons now. If you could bring this guy in, it's almost just an insurance pick, because I think the way he run blocks in college will translate for him. And I think it would just be really smart for the Browns to have this backup in their pocket, and this player in their back pocket that they can kind of throw all over the place. As weird as this sounds, and this is kind of unconditional, I guess, but if you wanted to sub guys out during, like, say guys get tired on the offensive line, you could absolutely throw him pretty much anywhere on the offensive line. He's a gadgety kind of guy. I love Gray Zabel in this spot, and you can start him at left tackle. And same thing with Ursary and Saveynaya. Having a hard time with that. If it doesn't work at tackle, just move him to guard. And he has experience at both spots. So I love Gray Zabel in this spot. If you can find him, 4th round pick, 4th round value, I think it would be an excellent pick for the Browns. I think it'd be really smart for the Browns to take a shot on Gray Zabel here. My favorite player in the draft. Final couple picks here I wanted to go over. Chris Paul Jr., not that Chris Paul. Linebacker, Ole Miss, 6'1", 235. He's a little undersized for a linebacker, but if you can get him in the 4th round here, I think it'd be great value. With the questions to like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and the veterans you have in the room so far, if you want to overhaul that and get some more younger blood in there, Chris Paul Jr. has great sideline to sideline speed. He's fast. He's a great blitzer. I think there's potential for him in pass coverage with the speed that he has. Pairing him with JOK, if JOK comes back, hopefully, I think would be a great duo that you would have at the linebacker spot. Again, only question is he's a bit undersized. What does that look like in run blocking? I don't know. But great blitzer. I think he has potential at the next level for more pass coverage stuff with speed like that. You always have potential for it. Just a little bit undersized, but I do like him if you can find him in the 4th or 5th round. I think it'd be a good spot to take him. And just some closing picks here. Dylan Sampson, another running back, Tennessee's running back. He was their bell cow this year. This kind of similar thing to like Nick Singleton. Dylan Sampson, I think, is just an every down back. I think he translates well to the next level. If you wanted to get more weight off of Nick Chubb and you wanted to go into a different direction, I think you could get Dylan Sampson even farther back than you would. You wouldn't have to spend a 3rd round pick on him, maybe not even a 4th round. You could even see like round 5 pick stuff on Dylan Sampson here. So Tennessee running back, I really like Dylan Sampson. He had a great year for the Volunteers. The Buckeyes didn't have to see him whenever we played him, but Dylan Sampson, I really like him. And then just to finish off, if you wanted to address some quarterback here for the Browns, I don't think that would be a bad idea. The 2 guys that I like in this draft are Dylan Gabriel and Will Howard. Again, okay, I have 3 Buckeyes on this bill or on this big board. Am I just a homer? Is that what the problem is? Dylan Gabriel, if you watch the tape on Dylan Gabriel, he commands an offense well. Only problem with him, he's pretty undersized, but he can deliver a good football. He can run an offense. He has so much experience in college that I think if you took a shot on him, a 5th round pick or a 4th round pick on Dylan Gabriel, you wouldn't be wrong there. For Will Howard, you get more of the stereotypical frame that you're looking for in a quarterback, especially in the AFC North, a rougher division that we play in a colder division. Will Howard has a better frame. I like how he can push the ball downfield, and he's shown growth over the year. I like Will Howard at the next level. I think if you could take a chance on one of Dylan Gabriel or Will Howard, you find him here. That's not a bad call. Especially if you can find him for such late value. I definitely think the Browns wouldn't be wrong to take a shot on one of those 2 there and just see what you have. You're probably going to have a veteran in that room next year anyway, whether that be like Kirk Cousins or somebody like that. But if you were a backup for a year and then, you know, that guy gets hurt or maybe he's not playing well, you could bring in Will Howard or Dylan Gabriel and just see what you got. So those are some of the prospects I like for the Browns in this 2025 cycle. Again, this isn't a mock draft. This wasn't even a full 7 rounds. These are just rounds 1 through 5, some of the guys that I'm liking so far, and the guys that I would have on my big board if I was in that Browns front office. So go ahead and let me know what you guys thought. Let me know your guys' favorite prospects. I'm curious to hear. I'm curious to watch some tape on them. So go ahead and leave them in the comments for me. I'll take a look at them. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching. Go Brownies.